how did it come to this? Battlefront 2 is, and will forever remain, one of my favorite games of all time. Its story transcends gaming as one of the greatest comebacks of all time. Very few games can suffer a catastrophe the size of Battlefront 2's launch and recover in the spectacular way that it did. For years, this game hasn't just been a hobby for me, it's been a habit. No matter what other games I play, I always come back, jump into a Capital Supremacy match or a Galactic Assault game, and just lose myself in the cinematic brilliance that is Battlefront 2. But as the years go on, matches have become harder and harder to find. The game's peak has long since passed, and while the community has kept it alive for far more years than anyone expected, now it feels like we're watching it slowly fade away. Once, you could hop into a match instantly. Now, you wait endlessly, only to find a dead lobby that never starts. And as I stare at this loading screen, these empty lobbies and long wait times, I can't help but ask, how did we get here? Battlefront 2 launched in 2017 with one clear mission: to surpass its predecessor. This meant more modes, more heroes, and most importantly, the long-awaited return of the Clone Wars era. Now, I remember the months leading up to this launch vividly. Every new trailer left me in awe. Every gameplay showcase looked like a dream come true. This was the Star Wars game we had been waiting for, the one that would finally justify the years of silence and disappointments. And in a way, it did fulfill that prophecy, eventually. But on launch day, our worst fears were realized. Battlefront 2 had fully committed itself to the dark side of gaming.
Do you really think that I'm gonna play this piece of shit?
EA doesn't give a single fuck about you or the player experience.
Because people are completely
From gamers to EA saying, we're not buying
Oh wait, it
this.
was fucking
Like,
EA.
this is garbage.
When Battlefront 2 released its trial version prior to launch, it shook the gaming community to its core. Never before had a game so large been so blatant with its greed. The game was set to release with a heavy insistence on microtransactions, in the form of loot boxes. These loot boxes would give you credits and crystals, which could be used to either purchase upgrades for your troops or unlock heroes like Vader or Luke, which instantly made the game feel very pay to win. While these purchases seemed optional, at the time you might have thought, I'll just grind it out to unlock everything instead of paying. Well, it wasn't that simple. You see, at the time, unlocking a single hero without spending money could take you upwards of 40 hours. Unlocking everything in the game? Well, that would only take you 4,528 hours of gameplay, or a measly 188 days. And if this seemed too long, you could always just unlock everything for a small payment of $2,100. Unsurprisingly, the backlash to this was instant and historic. Even when EA's team tried to explain themselves on Reddit, their post ended up being the most downvoted comment in Reddit history within just 24 hours, and remains the most downvoted to this day, 8 years later. Panicked, EA scrambled to lower cost, slash prices, and make progression slightly less painful, in order to save face before Battlefront 2's official release. But the real issue here wasn't just the cost. It was how the game had clearly been built around microtransactions instead of content. And this problem would go on to severely hurt the game's release, making it clear to EA that a change was needed. And change they did. Just 4 months after Battlefront 2's release, EA would officially remove all microtransactions from the game that were for anything but cosmetics, and would eventually do away with the microtransactions completely, which was a huge win for the community and a great step towards making amends. Now, this change gave DICE an opening, a chance to fight for Battlefront 2's future, and turn it into the revolutionary Star Wars game it was always meant to be. But the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The damage was done. The game's reputation was in shambles, and winning back players would take a lot more than just removing the loot boxes. Battlefront 2 needed constant updates, a complete overhaul of its progression system, and, most importantly, time. In 2018, DICE took its first major step towards redemption by making a move that would instantly win back goodwill and fix one of the game's most frustrating mechanics. All heroes were now unlocked for everyone. No more grinding, no more paywalls, just pure Battlefront. And that was just the beginning. Over the next year, DICE delivered on everything we had wanted from day one. They brought in long-awaited heroes like Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Grievous. They didn't just add maps, they gave us entire planets, from Geonosis to Crate to Felucia. The game was finally starting to feel whole. But then, they went even further. DICE introduced Capital Supremacy, a mode that, in hindsight, feels like it should have been in the game from the very start. A good majority of my gaming memories come from this mode, and I still can't believe it wasn't in there from day one. It just feels so Battlefront. And the updates kept coming. Clone Commandos, Droidicas, more heroes, more reinforcements. By the end of 2019, just 2 years after Battlefront 2's disastrous launch, the game had become almost unrecognizable. The content had nearly tripled, and the best part? It was all free. It literally felt like a new game had appeared in my library, the game we were promised. And at the time, it was amazing. But then, in 2020, DICE dropped a bombshell. Scarif was added to the game, and with it, an announcement that this would be the final update to ever be released for Battlefront 2. And while Scarif was well received, one thought lingered in every fan's mind. Wait, that's it? After nearly 3 years of free updates, patches, and events, it's over? The game we had watched redeem itself, win back our hearts, and carve out a future for itself. Abandoned? But this wasn't the end of the story, because at this time, Battlefront 2 was in its best state ever, and players were returning by the thousands. When EA Play hit Game Pass in 2021, hundreds of thousands of new players flooded in, pushing the game to its highest player count ever. This was Battlefront 2's golden era. Man, you could feel it. Instant matchmaking, massive clans recruiting new members, tournaments, modders creating endless new content. For a time, this was the peak of Star Wars gaming, and nothing since has even come close. But as with all great things, without love and care, they eventually wither. Yes, the Battlefront 2 community is resilient. The game has lived on for years, and honestly, I've never really stopped playing. But now? Well, the player base is at an all-time low. You can't always just hop in and instantly find a match anymore. Waiting times are getting longer and longer, and for the first time, I'm starting to worry. How much time does Battlefront 2 really have left? How long until it joins games like Squadrons or Battlefront 1, where finding a match is only possible with coordination and luck? And what makes this so much worse is knowing exactly why the game was abandoned. EA pulled DICE off of Battlefront 2 for what they believed would be their next great game, Battlefield 2042. In hindsight, that decision stings so much more. We lost years of potential Battlefront content for this? A game that launched with missing features, bugs, and a backlash of its own? Knowing now that so much more was planned, it honestly sickens me to see how the game was left to die. DICE had pulled off a miracle. They had taken the biggest disaster in gaming and turned it into one of its greatest redemption stories. But just as Battlefront 2 reached its peak, just as it became everything we hoped for, support was ripped away. And the worst part? DICE's success wasn't in vain. Battlefront 2 is now beloved, praised, a game that has thousands of glowing reviews, and is remembered not for where it started, but for what it became. And yet, that only makes its fate hurt even more. Battlefront 2 deserved more. It deserved to keep going, deserved to live through its success and bask in its own triumph. But now, all we're left with is 2 questions that will haunt fans forever. What could have been? And how long do we have left? Thanks for listening to me ramble on about a game I care so much about. While I am thankful to be able to play it today, I still find myself wondering how much longer that will be the case. I'm sure some of you might have heard that there's a movement going on to fill the Battlefront 2 servers this weekend. And while that's not exactly what sparked my creation of this video, it is convenient timing. I'm really excited to spend time reliving the glory days. Anyways, I appreciate those of you who made it to the end of this video. I want to mention that a large percentage of those who watch my videos aren't subscribed. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so consider subscribing. It really helps and shows me that people are enjoying the content I create. Also, with a new year comes a new channel, and that means soon I'll be trying out regular streams on Tuesday and Thursday nights. So stay tuned and join the Discord for stream and video updates. As always, thank you for watching. Consider leaving a like or even subscribing. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.